This is the worst and most awkward story I'm ever going to have to tell to anyone, ever, forever alone. In order to understand the context of my worst date ever, you're really going to have to get involved with this story. Just, set aside all the weird details and just accept it. So when I was 13 and a half, the half does count. I was kind of sent away to live with a really religious family in Dothan, Alabama. And because I was sent to live with a religious family, I did what any normal human being would do, and I rebelled. And by rebelled, I mean I went to a coffee house venue and smoked clove cigarettes and hung out with kids that were older than me. Anyways though, so I befriended these two drag queens that became my best friends, Chris and Garen, who were 16 and 18, and I also befriended this girl named Emma, who is my age, who I had the biggest crush on that I didn't even know was a crush yet. I was just so in love with her. I even bought her Pop Rocks once when we saw March of the Penguins. That's commitment, if I know it. Back to the story, Chris and Garen were in love with these twins, and I don't really remember their names, so I'm just gonna call them Twin 1 and Twin 2. And they were like, I don't even know how to describe them. And one night, Garen and Chris decided that we should all have a sleepover at the twins' house because the twins had a cool house. So we get to the twins' house, and I don't really know the twins that well. I just kind of have met them a few times, I guess. But as the evening progressed, we all got really bored and decided that we should go drive to Mississippi to see if the urban legend of Goatman exists. And I think it was something like it was a goat man that lived under a bridge and something like weird, I don't know. So what happens next is we are all in a truck, and it's a long drive to Mississippi. And I find out, and we all kind of find out in the car, that both of the twins like me, and they said it in front of everyone. Oh my god, it was really weird. It was another hour and I was sitting in between them, and they kept trying to convince me why I should be with them and not the other twin, and I didn't want to be with either twin. Eventually, late in the night, we get to this bridge which Goatman is supposed to be under, and we have one flashlight. I don't know why. We should have brought at least 3, but no, we brought 1. And the flashlight gets given to Chris and Garen, and they lead the way. It's pitch black. We are walking throughout these leaves, and it's kind of like the Blair Witch Project. And we step onto the bridge, and nothing actually happens, but then Chris and Garen started screaming at the top of their lungs and dropped the flashlight and broke it, and then started running. And then, of course, everyone else started running, and I started running, and guess who ran with me? The twins ran with me. The twins kept acting like they were cold, and it was really dark, and they wanted to snuggle me, and I did not want to snuggle them, and I was just fine not snuggling. Emma and Garen and Chris were somewhere else in the forest, so we were stuck in a forest for a really long time. By the time we found each other, we were all at this like waterfall thing, which was kind of cool, and the sun was rising, so Chris was like, let's skinny dip. So I was like, yeah, let's go skinny dipping. So I rip off my clothes, jump in the water, do my water things, and by the time I kind of like get to the surface, I realize that only Chris, me, and the twins decided to go skinny dipping, and Emma and Garen were too cold. So I saw a lot of things I did not want to see at that point. Fast forward, we get back to the twins' house eventually, and Emma's in trouble by her mom, so she gets picked up, and basically Garen and Chris are completely pissed at me, and I end up telling the twins that I don't like either of them, and I hate wife beaters, and shut up. Oh my god, it made Chris and Garen furious with me. So they, of course, want to leave dramatically, and we leave dramatically, and the twins are just like, okay, fine, bye. So then it is, you know, the middle of the morning-ish in Alabama, and I'm driving with Chris and Garen in their truck back to Dothan. And then they just start yelling at me for stealing their men, and meanwhile I'm just like, oh, I like Emma, you don't understand. And then we drove into a ditch. So who do you think had to walk 3 miles to the twins' house to ask for help? This guy did. This guy. I don't really know if you can consider that a date, but I kind of do, because it was just a lot of feelings that were wrong. It was like the real world teenagers, Alabama, period. Bibles.